Explosions, overpowering. Over the competition, I'm towering. Wrecking shop. When I write these lyrics, that'll make you call the cops. Don't you dare stare. You better move. Don't ever compare me to the rest. That'll all get sliced and diced. Competition's paying the price. I'm gonna knock you out. Mama said, knock you out. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, deep in the bowels of our underground layer, rising above the competition, outsmarting the woke culture. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. I will say one thing.
That I gave you another gimme?
I might know that one.
Yeah.
I know it's that one guy, but don't say anything.
That one guy, yeah. You nailed it.
I wish I wouldn't have bragged about my average in softball last week. Tonight I played horse manure.
Really?
Horse manure. I don't want to get into what my average has dropped to. That's afraid to get out the calculator and look, but I played terrible today. I'm really upset about it.
Yeah.
I should know this, shouldn't I? Mm-hmm. It's that one black guy, right?
Yeah. Right.
Give me a second. I'll think.
Yeah.
I remember the song so well.
Yes. How could you not with a rousing rendition like that?
LL Cool J.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
Right.
I have to stop with
I can see him in my head, and I can't think of who the hell
Kangol
hat.
And
So, okay. All right. Hey, 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Episode 171 we're on? Okay,
yeah.
So, okay. I thought 171 was last week. I think you're wrong. I think this is 172.
You know what? Since I have my phone in my hand, I can go and see.
Why don't you open that flip phone up and look?
The flip phone. Since I am the one that puts these out on the interwebs for everybody, I think I know.
Lord knows I don't do that.
Yeah. Go to the podcast.
You
app.
looked at
170 Police Reform School.
Okay.
Yes.
So it is 171.
171.
Okay. Jay.
Yes.
Speaking of being in a reform school.
Yes.
Little cat fight this week between two guys who couldn't beat a 12-year-old girl in arm wrestling.
Well.
And I'm talking about Mayor Jacob Frey and Waltzy Walz.
Yeah.
Boy, there's not much of a love fest there.
A little playground spat going on, huh?
I mean, the two of them might, slap each other or something, or say naughty words the next time they see each other. Look, just to back up a sec. I mean, Jacob Frey. Mm-hmm. Says that he wanted to call in the National Guard or something earlier, and Walz hesitated for 2 days, and all hell broke loose and all that. Plenty of blame to go around in my book.
Yes,
when you look at both of them,
that is true.
But I can't believe this. That I'm gonna side with Scott Peterson's lover here, Amber Frey, and I am going to take his side in the little spat here. The evidence shows that he asked Wednesday night for assistance. The governor didn't give it.
No,
he didn't give it till Friday morning. Mm-hmm. Governor Walz is in charge of the National Guard, not a mayor of anybody.
Not the president.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's true. Yeah. And we all know President Trump offered troops from Fort Bragg.
Yep.
So, it could have been squelched. Jay, why? I've got my theory on why Walz didn't act. I got my theories on why Frey didn't act. They're actually very similar theories.
Right. Incompetence is probably close to the top of the list.
Incompetence is one, but I think there's a bigger factor in there. Mm-hmm. And I want your take first on why do you think both of them in my mind are guilty of sitting back and doing nothing while the hoodlums took control.
Well, somebody signed off on letting the third precinct go down.
That had to be the mayor.
Had to be.
He ordered the evacuation.
Yep.
He ordered them to stand down, whether you wanted the OK Corral to begin there. I think a few little wording shots and things might have dispersed. You never know.
Yeah.
But throw a few things of tear gas and people might have ran away. I don't know. But you're right. Somebody, but why? Why was there such reluctance? But I think there still is reluctance going on. There still are these mayors and governors who just will not confront. It's almost like, you get arrested for not wearing a mask. But if you want to, who's been arrested for tearing statues down and all that, dude?
Right.
Property damage. I mean, if I came over and knocked a window out of your house, I could get in trouble. Why is this any different? It doesn't matter what the motive is.
Yes.
So what is it about this? And I got a theory.
Okay.
But I mean, do you want me to say my theory first?
Yeah.
Okay, I think the theory is twofold. One, I think Frey and Walz agree with the protesters. I think that overrides a lot of it. And I think they are paralyzed in fear of Black Lives Matter and of the far left. They don't want to cross them. So it cages them into this, freezes them into doing nothing. They can't defend anybody.
Yes.
So they have to treat all of these folks with kid gloves. And I also think they agree with them politically. I think Walz is as radical as anybody in the DFL party. I cannot understand how this guy ever got a reputation as some sort of moderate.
Right.
And Frey is as socialist as anybody as well. So I mean, and because of that, they don't want to fight each other. Look, I mean, we're seeing it in some other things too, like the Omar race, which I know we'll get into. But
right.
I mean, there's this frozen at the wheel mentality, and I also think that anybody who wants to dismantle the police, deploying the National Guard is like 10 steps up from police, and so I just want to, I'd like to ask the governor, who is always welcome on this program, by the way. I'd like to ask him if the governor's mansion was getting burned down, would he go, hey, you know what? Hey, Amber Frey, I need some more information. I don't know if I can deploy. I don't know if they can get there in time. I mean, think about his answer. Canada invades International Falls.
Yes.
The mayor calls up and says, dude, we're getting killed up here. Yeah, but are they on the west side or the east side?
It would be more like, hey, I need some help up here.
Yeah. They're putting her here.
They're putting their soldiers down at the Rainy Lake, and we got to get.
Ole and Sven have to get over there and defend it. But I mean, I mean, would there be a hesitation then?
Well, that would.
I noticed he didn't have a problem protecting the Capitol and all of that.
Well, if it was International Falls and the Canadians came down, that would be a presidential decision because that's international. That would be taken out of Walz's hands.
True, but Walz has an obligation to defend Minnesota.
He does.
So,
and. Yeah,
fine. Say North Fargo invaded Moorhead. Okay, let's just say that. We got pissed off at a hockey game.
And I don't know. What would he do? I don't know. Would he protect the governor's mansion? I think it depends. Do you think he agrees with both of Frey and Walz agree with the protesters and are afraid of the radical groups, or do you think they agree with the radical groups?
I think they're more afraid of them.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Walz in particular, but you look at who Walz has put around him.
Yeah.
And it's all radicals. Like
it is.
Peggy Flanagan tops the list. I mean, I think he is afraid of them. I think Frey might be one of them.
Well, and it's.
But Frey's a moderate compared to half the people on this council.
Right.
So I don't know.
And that's true. I mean,
I don't know how to lay that out. I mean,
we'll play a little game later and just. we'll.
Hopefully, I do better than the last time we played $25,000 pyramid or whatever we played.
This one, I don't know that there's a winner or loser per se. We're all losers in this game.
Minneapolis is the loser. Whatever happens, city of Minneapolis might as well just get up and be its own island.
Yeah, that's true. But you've got groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa, but a lot of this was planned in advance, or claimed to have been planned in advance from RevCom, and I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I've heard of that.
That is the Revolutionary Communist Party, Bob Avakian.
They're looking for an excuse.
They've had it planned, and they've been looking for a trigger point and then they're like, go. They sounded the call. They sent people to Minnesota. They sent people to Chicago, Portland.
Seattle, New York.
They are admittedly pushing a lot of this because they have wanted to bring down not only capitalism but America. You have again these '60s radicals.
Now, again, you asked me about Walz. Do I think Walz wants to bring down America? No, but I think he is scared. He knows that to keep his party in power, he has to walk this tightrope.
Yeah.
Joe Biden does the same thing. Joe Biden looks like a conservative compared to these people, but he is in the same paradox. Yeah. He can't come out and condemn them.
Nope.
And he hasn't. He's just hid in his bunker, hid in his wherever the hell he is, in his washing machine or wherever he is. And at the same time, he has to sort of look the other way when, when I'm surprised because I think it's going to boomerang on them, and I think it's already starting to.
Yeah.
Because I think, first off, the vice president has an obligation to answer whether he agrees with these people or not. Quite frankly, he has no authority over local police officers. The president has no authority whatsoever to tell them what to do. And neither does the governor, to be quite frank about it.
Right.
And it's not their call, whether a police department is changed or dismantled or whatever. But I think the former vice president, by not coming out and doing something against this, or saying, look, I sympathize with what happened, but I don't favor dismantling the police as a response. Totally understandable position he could take.
Yeah.
It undermines everything he's talked about the entire time, that he's the one candidate that's not a nutcase. I mean, that's the... and I don't understand. I don't understand how his donors aren't coming in and say, look, dude, you've got to come out here and say something. You can't just hide out and go on Don Lemon and avoid the question.
Right.
Because it's going to come up. I mean, it's going to come up at some point. Debates, it's probably going to come up. The president would be smart to bring it up. I think he is.
Yeah.
And so... he's allowing himself to be painted. So, no. Do I think Walz and Biden are them? No. But I think they don't have the guts to say, look, we've got laws, and if you don't like something, there's a process to do this. And if you're going to burn buildings down and you're going to loot and you're going to commit property damage, you're going to be prosecuted, period. Well, and I think they're both weak. They won't do it.
Well, let's have a little bit of a history lesson.
I thought I give the history lessons around here.
Sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes. We don't have to go very far back in history. So it's more of a recent history lesson. But Walz and Biden both are part of the old guard of the Democrat Party, right? Their chair, Tom Perez, what did he say? Just, shortly after he came on as the head of the DNC, that the DNC was going to become more socialist. So they have brought on all of these radicals, and these radicals, these people that they support untenable positions.
Remember, Perez ran against Keith Ellison.
Right.
He was actually seen as the more...
But, yeah, I mean, this is what, and you have guys like Keith Ellison that are pushing, our governor, I'm sure. But you have a whole bunch of people in the DNC that they have brought on board because socialism was the goal. that are pushing all of the old guard. You're going to accept this, or you're going to be seen as irrelevant, and we are going to replace you. Because look what's happening all across the nation, where you have old guard Democrats.
Oh, it's how AOC got
They're
in.
getting beat in primaries across the nation.
Well, again, that's nothing new. Those things have happened a lot. The Tea Parties did that to a certain extent. I mean, these things shift back and forth. My question is, where were the, as you call it, the old guard? You mean the Clinton, Biden, kind of people from the 90s. Where were they when it came to putting a candidate to run the DNC? I mean, here you have the 2016 election where the Democrats got shellacked everywhere. Okay. Yes. And they had an opportunity to stop, rebrand, just like the Republicans did after Obama, and changed it, and they decided to go that direction. Where were the people, who were wait a second, in the long run, the best thing we can do is this, and this? Because I can tell you, when the Republican Party went through this, there was an internal fight. There was, absolutely, and sometimes the more Tea Party candidate won. Sometimes I don't want to say the Bush, McCain, Romney, Dole candidate. I don't like saying that, but. Yeah. I can't think of another way to say it. I don't want to say moderate, because that's not what I mean. Less libertarian maybe is traditional conservative versus, I mean, so, and ultimately, the party wiggled its way and somehow found Donald Trump out of all of that. Okay, so I don't know where the Democrats are going with this. What I do know is that all of the prominent people who are under the age of 50, because you and I take a long-term view of politics a lot.
Yes.
And I look at who their people are of tomorrow. I don't really care about this year that much. We'll get through this, and 2 years, another election will be here before we know it. Okay? But when I look at the younger 30s and 40s-ish Democrats, that's where I get really alarmed, because I don't see and I don't really like making this comparison, because I don't think Biden and Clinton are all that moderate.
No.
But
compared to Bernie Sanders?
Right, or compared to AOC or somebody like that, I don't see a 41-year-old Bill Clinton in that party anymore. No. I don't see a 45-year-old Joe Biden. I don't see a Joe Lieberman. I don't see anybody like that. What I see is we're going to have a contest, you and I. We're going to have a race to see who can carry a hammer and sickle further. But that's what I see. And if I saw some of both, like you saw in the Republican Party, where you saw I don't want to call it the old guard, but the traditional conservatives winning sometimes, the Tea Party people winning sometimes. John McCain beat out J.D. Hayworth, yet a guy like Rand Paul won in Kentucky. You saw differences like that. But I don't see that over there. I see you have to be as wacky as humanly possible. And I can't believe the Democratic money men, whoever they are, whoever, because whoever picked Joe Biden, okay, somebody picked him. Bernie Sanders was going to win this nomination. And somebody got together, got everybody in a room or on a conference call. I can't prove it, but Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, Mike Bloomberg, whoever was still in the race at the time, and I don't remember anymore, because it seems like 100 years ago. But whoever that was, all got together and said,
the Ugandan giant.
She might have been out by then, and I think Booker was out and a few other people. But it was like, okay, we have to stop Sanders. Sanders is going to lose. We all know he's going to lose. So we're going to pick. They selected Biden. Okay. Same thing happened when Howard Dean was going to win. They selected John Kerry. Somebody made the choice.
Yeah.
And boom, boom, everybody drops out the next day. You campaigned for a year. Now it's Super Tuesday, and you drop out that day. You telling me that wasn't orchestrated?
The super delegates we're scared.
Because they don't have the control they used to. They used to be able to come in and overrule that, but because Sanders' people got a hold of the DNC, they made those changes.
Absolutely.
So, that couldn't have happened. I mean, the only way it could have happened if somebody didn't get to 60% on the first ballot.
Yeah.
And if Sanders had been kept rolling, winning his 30%, which was 15 points less than he won the last time, when there was only two candidates, but, so.
Well, and just think if he had stayed in with the condition that Joe Biden is in right now.
He should have stayed in. I guess I shouldn't say that because I don't care.
He would have had to get up and make a speech at the DNC convention, which still hasn't happened. And he doesn't know where he's at. He can't put sentences together.
Well, and you think about this as Sanders.
And it's terrible. I mean, I don't know why they're doing this to him.
Is Sanders released his delegates? I mean, technically he owns
I don't think
a third of the delegates. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think I honestly think you're going to see that. I think the Biden strategy of, like I said, hiding in a bunker is just not going to work. I mean, ultimately it's not. I think he has people around him telling him say as little as possible. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that will work in the end. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't think hiding is.
Well, he can't hide forever.
Yeah, well, he's tried to get out of debates.
I know, but I don't know.
He can't. Ultimately, he's going to have to.
He's going to have to, and it will really come down to who his VP pick is, because I think within the
first. You think so? I don't know.
I think within the first few months, he's going to be a victim of the 25th Amendment. So.
Yeah, but that's not simple. I mean, you'd have to get somebody. He'd either willingly have to turn over presidential powers, and it isn't clear how incapacitation is understood.
Yeah.
So President Reagan got shot, spends 2 weeks in a hospital, had surgeries, and never ceded power.
Right.
To George Bush Sr.
Right.
So, who was running the guy? Alexander Haig says he was, but I mean, you're saying it's questionable. I know that President Bush W, when he had, this is interesting because I looked this up, had 2 colonoscopies while president. And do you know that he was sedated and seated? I didn't even know this. Dick Cheney was president for like 8 hours total.
Really?
Yeah, well, he was sedated. President Bush signs. It's called acting president under the 25th Amendment.
Right.
And George Bush Sr. was president for about 9 hours when President Reagan was at the Mayo Clinic getting a procedure done. So that was in like 1986. But President Reagan willingly. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it's.
I think there might be an arrangement too.
I wouldn't put it past.
We'll push you into the presidency, but you need to realize who's in charge.
I don't think if Biden wins, I don't think he'll run again.
No.
I think you're going to have an open seat again in 24, I think. Anyway, look, for another day.
Yes.
But yeah, the Walz, Amber Frey, Jacob Frey, French Fry, sorry. I want to see I think Walz would probably win an arm wrestling contest, but
I don't know.
He'd be pretty
have a weight advantage.
You've seen it on ESPN. They put their whole.
Yeah.
By the way, one last thing. Did you see this? I know you were at that rodeo in up north where.
Was I?
Ellison's, yeah. You told me the highlight of your weekend was getting a saddle sore. Anyway. Ellison was suing. Apparently, it was not open to the public. People just showed up.
Really?
So I guess that's the fault of the people who own the buffaloes or whatever. I guess that's their fault.
Buffaloes,
whatever they are. What are they? Donkeys? What do they ride?
In a rodeo?
Yeah. What do they ride?
A bull, or
what did I say?
A Mustang, or I don't know whatever horse, bucking bronco. That's what it is.
Yeah, so that's the big news is that
he's gonna sue him, huh? Boy.
Yep, gonna have to. All those saddle sores everybody got over the weekend would have been a good use. Anyhow, Jay.
Oh, criminy. Yeah.
Moving on.
Let's do that.
Tuesday is primary day.
Yes.
And I hate primaries. But we have them anyway. I'm starting to hate elections now too.
Let's not go that far, because that's kind of an important part of what makes us us.
Yeah, and why do I? I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Politics has to be in your blood.
Yes.
It just has to be in your blood. You can't do this. You can't even do what we do and hoof it.
No.
Okay, so I'm born with this, and you were born with this too. This disease, this political disease, and I can't get it out of me no matter what. It almost gets worse. It's like a disease that gets worse, but I'm still alive. So
yes.
We have a primary coming up on Tuesday. I know the big races is which we can touch on are all anybody's really talking about, but there's some city, county level races as well that have gotten I have seen very little on these county races. I've seen. I don't know about you. We were talking off air that you haven't received any political crap, which is kind of funny considering people have to change the way they've campaigned this year.
I've received political stuff from one candidate.
Okay. And we all know who that is.
Right.
That's,
Anton
Amari Ramadan.
Anton Melton-Mieux.
Melton-Mieux.
Yes.
Okay. Now that's CD5.
Yes, running against Elon.
Okay.
So.
Now, Jay.
Yes.
There's another case where it's a Democratic seat. I mean, who wins this is going to win. How do you see that race shaping up? How do you see that?
It seems like the party is supporting Elon.
Yeah, they are for sure.
Elon, which
I'm not shocked at. She's endorsed. She's the incumbent.
I am. She's crooked as all get out.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's a Democratic seat. If this were a 50-50 seat, well, first off, she'd have never won.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do this. The big donors would find somebody and crush her. I think she's going to win. But the fact that she's got to campaign, the fact that she filed an FEC complaint against Melton Ramadan, the fact that
he's actually not Islamic. He's like one of the few in the.
Oh, okay. Doesn't matter
over there, but he's actually I think tied in with Isaiah, which we've done a show on before. So
not Isaiah Thomas.
No.
So. But I think she'll win something like 60-40. I just, and then.
Well, that may be.
Which is the kiss of death if I say that. Now she's going to lose.
I don't know.
But personally, I think a nameless, faceless Democrat could get 30% against her.
And this guy is sending out stuff almost every day, big mailers. He's
raised a lot of outstate money.
A lot of money.
Which, again, I still don't understand why. Because I don't know what separates them on issues. So I'm an issues guy. Yeah. I don't care about their kids. I don't care about their marriage. I don't care about.
I don't really know what separates them on issues either. Just we know that Elon's a dirtball, and
True.
That's kind of what it comes down to. Are you a party person to the point where you don't care how dirty somebody is?
Here's the other thing. Yeah. Here's why I have some optimism with redistricting.
Yeah.
Because if I'm the DFL, okay, there's two ways to get rid of Omar. One, find a candidate to beat her in a primary, which is not going to be easy because, especially the endorsement process, because she can fill that up with her people very easily.
Yeah.
It's why I hate the endorsement process, because you can get your people to run and get elected as delegates, and it's very hard. I don't know. I don't want to get into the endorsement process, but so somebody has to either beat her in a primary or Minneapolis and St. Paul become one district. Betty McCollum could beat her. Would beat her by a huge margin, probably.
Probably.
And so That would be because we're going to lose a congressional seat. I don't care what anybody says. We're losing one. So we're going to go down. You have to keep the 3 outstate ones. There's no way you can draw that into 2. So you're going to have to take a chunk. I mean, we've talked about this. Yeah. You're going to have to take a chunk of 6 and a chunk of 4. You can divide that up.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, just make Minneapolis and St. Paul one district, and let McCollum can take out Omar, and there's your 2 choices.
A lot of blue then that seeps into 3, and
the blue's already in
2,
3, and you can let some blue seep into 6 because Emmer's winning by 20 points every time. Yeah. 2's already a swing district, and 4 becomes less blue because it loses St. Paul. So I'm not, and the 3 out states will be Republican as soon as Colin Peterson leaves. So I don't know. I don't know whether that changes a whole lot.
Right.
It probably makes 1's a pretty purple.
Yeah.
8 was blue and has become red. 7 is red with the exception of
really made a mess of 8.
Well, they've made again, that's the radical versus it's the radical environmentalism. It's the things like that.
You made the miners very angry.
Yeah, the miners union is all Republican now. I mean, just like all the coal miners out in Pennsylvania. How do you think Trump won Pennsylvania? Hillary Clinton was going to cut their wages in half and they could go deliver pizzas.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to predict Omar wins that, but I'm and I think,
I think you're right.
Had an opponent got an earlier start. I mean, there's all these mail-in ballots from June. I mean, people didn't even start campaigning yet.
Yeah.
You could get a mail-in ballot before you could put out yard signs. I mean, just silly.
Dumb.
So,
yeah,
I think she holds him off. Now the Senate race, everybody assumes it'll be Lewis and Smith.
Yeah.
But I know you're a Bob Carney guy.
Oh boy. Oh boy, give me 38-point plan on how to put me to sleep.
What I was shocked at was how many people, there's like 18 people in that race.
Yeah, there's a lot. Jason Lewis is going to win that race. There's just
I'm sure he will, but I'm interested to see what kind of percentage he gets.
Yeah.
Look, I don't care.
Well, we know Bob Carney will get less than 1%.
He'll get one or 2 votes. Is he married? He might get 2. Maybe his wife will vote against him. But I mean, they'll get, and obviously Tina Smith will win.
He enjoys running, and that's his thing. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know where that race stands right now. I'm sure Smith is the favorite. I'm sure. I mean, in November.
Yeah,
I'm sure she.
I don't know. She keeps. I don't know. What has she done? Nothing.
Yeah, she doesn't have to do anything. I mean, that's the thing. She's got a huge fundraising lead,
which I don't understand because she's done nothing.
Yeah, doing nothing though is how you get the big donors. Doing something is how you piss them off.
Well.
Anyhow, so and I know those are the kind of races that get people out there. Dean Phillips, I'm in CD3 now.
Yeah.
Dean Phillips has a primary challenger.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember the name. Doesn't matter. But I don't recall. I'll have to look it up. I'll look it up here.
Yeah, and for those of you not familiar, the Secretary of State's website has a list of all the candidate filings, and so you're able to go through there. Some of those candidates have websites attached to them, some of them don't. Contact information if you want to ask them questions about where they stand, because if you're like me, you've received nothing from anyone, and so you don't know unless you're kind of in the know already.
Well, and that's a problem to me because a lot is on the line in these primaries, and so few. I think it's less than 10% usually come out in these primaries. Unfortunately, I don't know why that is. Hang on, I've got to figure out who is. Yeah, okay, the Senate race. Why would somebody run on the party of legal marijuana now?
Better yet, why would somebody run on the party of grassroots legalized cannabis? Yeah. What's the difference between those two parties?
Those two guys just get a room. But you can't. here's the thing.
Yes.
You can't be a one-issue candidate and never win anything.
No.
You know, you just can't be. Just run as an independent. I mean, yeah, you got Kevin O'Connor and Oliver Steinenberg. Just get around.
Hey, he did that JFK movie, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And what was that called?
JFK.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay, down in District 1 in Hagedorn's race, there's a grassroots legalized cannabis. In Craig's race, there's a legal marijuana now guy. Cole Young is running. Youngvoters.work is his...
Leslie Davis is running in District 3.
And by the way...
Kendall Qualls, Dean Phillips,
by
and
the way,
Young. Yes.
On this youngvoterswork.work website, here's what it says. Young people are F, then a little symbol, CKED.
Wow. I like his graph on there. It's like 2 lines. Wages have gone up a little bit, and college cost has gone up a whole bunch. Well, that's,
Okay. Yeah, our buddy Leslie Davis is in, huh? How about Representative 4? Holy cow. You want to go through that?
Leslie Davis.
CD5. I mean, okay, so we got Melton-Mieux. By the way, you click on Ilhan Omar, and it says residence address, quote, not required.
What?
Yeah, click on her. Not required. Don't you have to live in the district?
Yeah.
So why is it not required that they give an address?
Unless because of her stature, they just don't publish it? I don't know.
So she could live anywhere then. And
yeah, she might.
CD7, too, it's getting a little nasty out there, from what I hear.
Really?
Michelle Fischbach, the former, can we call her the former lieutenant governor?
Yeah, I guess she wasn't she? She was a lieutenant governor for
a short time, I guess. By the way, there's 2 grassroots legalized cannabis candidates. Does that mean they have to have a primary between the 2 of them?
I would guess so. They don't compete with the Republicans or the Democrats. So,
but I mean, are they guaranteed a spot on the ballot? I guess in November. We have Ray Hart Anderson and Kevin Nisi Shores.
Okay. Sounds like he came up with that name while he was trying to legalize some cannabis.
Yeah. But there's a lot of, I mean, I recognize David Hughes' name, but I mean, there's, I don't know how nasty that's going to get.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, so there's, do we have any primaries? Oh, well, we got the one here in 45A, right?
Yeah.
What did I call that lady?
What?
Donna Dumpster?
Something like that, yeah.
Cedric Frazier. Go down to 45A.
Oh, wait a second. Let's see. Takes a little bit of scrolling to get down there. Yes. So we have, Zena Alston Pfizer. Ann Johnson Stewart and Greg. Oh, that's 44. Sorry, 45. Yeah. So Andy Schuler, which is the Legal Marijuana Now Party. These guys are everywhere this year. Wow. Roxana Bruins.
Yeah, they all had a party.
Rest.
Yeah, that's the Senate seat.
That's the Senate seat. So they should all be all right. And then takes a bunch more scrolling to get down to 12, 13. This is exciting radio right here.
How do you pronounce her name? Donna DePoster?
Hold on, there we are, 45. Okay, yes, Donna DePoister. That's what I would say, or Diana DePoister. That's what I would say. So we have Jesse Flagger on the Republican
Diana
ticket.
DePoister.
Diana DePoister and Cedric Frazier. Both
the appointed New Hope.
Yes. His signs are, well, they both have a lot of signs out in the area. I don't know who will win that.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would guess Cedric is the favorite, but
yeah, I don't know. Has Lyndon woken up and endorsed anyone?
I think Lyndon's alarm hasn't gone off yet. It's still on. He's still on.
1984.
You know, it reminds
yes.
me. It reminds me of Yogi's First Christmas. Yogi the Bear.
Yes.
And he would hibernated, and he set his alarm clock for April in the very beginning. I think Lyndon probably did the same thing.
Wow.
He's going to hibernate for a little while. Yeah.
Hey, did you see in District 38A? We've got 3 Republicans running for that seat. And I'm not sure why.
Kelly Gunderson dropped out, I think.
Oh, did she?
I think
we know
so.
Kelly.
I know Kelly. We both do. Yeah. Yeah, she's a ball of fire.
Yeah, I don't know the other 2. So
no, so I don't know. Yeah, just exciting stuff, right? I mean, just breathtaking stuff.
Yes.
Now, you want to get to Jay.
Wait a second now. 40B, Mary O'Connor is running on the legal marijuana now ticket. She has run for
libertarian.
Yeah.
Huh.
She has run for Hennepin County.
You gotta hand it to those libertarians, boy. They're sure organized and got a lot of candidates out there.
I don't see any libertarians on here. Well, they just may not have a. Oh no! If they've filed, they have to be on here. It doesn't matter if they have.
Oh yeah, the filing was in June.
Yeah. Wow.
But, I mean, I don't see any in the Senate race. I don't see any anywhere.
No, I don't either.
Of course, again, maybe they're taking our advice and going all local.
That would be good.
That would be good if they're doing that.
Right.
Now, Jay, I know you live in Hennepin County.
Yeah.
Do I still live in Hennepin?
Yes, you live in Hennepin County. Over on the other side of you is still Hennepin County once you get into Corcoran and things like that. So, yes. Yes, you are squarely in Hennepin County, and it's not even close.
Okay.
So enjoy that.
Well, that stinks.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Enjoy all of the rights and responsibilities that come along with citizenship.
Well, here's some fascinating stuff here. County Commissioner. 4 seats are up, Jay. 3 of them have a primary.
Really?
Yeah. That is number 1, number 6, and number 7 have a primary. Number 5 does not. I don't know that I recognize those names in 5, but I don't pay attention anymore. So
don't let them fool you, folks.
I'm a radio star now. I don't have to pay attention.
Isn't that why we pay attention? Because.
By the way, I don't think my district is up. Remember last time I wrote in Seymour Butts or Harry Arm or something? So I think I'm in 2 or 3.
Okay.
So I thought I was in Jeff Johnson's old district, but when I went on election day, it was between, was it Blong Wang?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. It was Wang and some Fernando lady. The only Fernando I know used to pitch for the Dodgers.
Yes.
So it was Fernando and Wang, and I left it blank. That's right. It was Blog Wang.
Yeah, you didn't vote for him, and now look what happened.
I know. I mean, it's just.
Yes.
So this year, I don't know what districts 7 I know, and 1 I know what those are.
Yeah.
And 6 we kind of know.
Yeah.
Because we know some of the people running.
Well, let's look at them one by one here. So we got District 1. Our buddy Jeff Lundy. He loves you.
Yeah.
Big fan.
I can't imagine why he wouldn't.
Because you didn't vote for him?
No, I didn't vote for him. But again, Jay, I stand on principle.
Right.
And so
that's what we do here.
Can't believe who I wrote in that time. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Was that Daffy Duck?
I think it was Han Solo. I think I watched. I'm not sure, but I know I watched a movie. My wife and I, we weren't married at the time, but I think we watched a movie I had to escape a little bit of a.
Yeah.
Sometimes before the election, I need to escape it for a night. We watched some movie, and I don't think it was Han Solo, but we watched a movie, and I think I wrote in one of the characters,
Yeah.
Doc Brown or George McFly or something. I wrote in.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, I know. District 36 wasn't very happy with me, but I was honest about it.
Yeah.
Just said, I'm not just voting for an R, and I won't. I still don't. So, in fact, I've said this too publicly that beyond President Trump, I'm not committing to voting for anybody.
Yeah.
Not right now. So, I'm not even paying attention to. In fact, we got to look at Plymouth stuff. They're still signing up right now.
Yes, they are.
So I don't even know what ward I'm in, and we're going to have to look that up and figure that out because there's at-larges.
Yep, there's 2 at-large and there's 4 wards.
Yeah, and there's a mayor. I don't think he's up this year,
he's
but
not.
yeah. So
No, I was speaking with.
yeah, that's
Mayor
right.
Walz a couple of weeks ago.
So I'll have to report back
Yes.
to where I am. Okay, District 1.
Okay.
So Lundy, by the mayor of Brooklyn Park, by
Yes. Mary Jo Melsha and Devonna Pittman are the other 2 running
the way. I
there.
want to say Pittman is the DFL person that I could be wrong on that.
Yeah.
But I know there's no way OPAT would leave that seat without
Right.
putting somebody for. Even though it's interesting how Lundy supported OPAT at one time, and
He did.
Of
That
course.
didn't work out very well
yeah,
for him.
and of course, notice OPAT not returning the favor,
Yeah.
which you make deals with the devil. That's what happens. But her website is all about racial disparity and free housing and crap like that. So you can imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine this is the person that OPAT's backing, meaning Devonna Pittman. And I have seen a couple of signs for her around, more than a couple. I am running for Hennepin County Commissioner to reduce disparities, increase opportunities, and to make sure everyone in our community has a chance to thrive. Began her career at Hennepin County as the committee clerk for the board. So she has a very close relationship with the county board.
That's wonderful.
So she's kind of went through a little bit of an internship there, learning how decisions were made and dollars were spent. She was the project coordinator for the Minnesota Ballpark Authority, and is a disparity reduction coordinator with the county. What does that do, you may ask? It takes a critical look at the county's lines of business and the work happening in areas of education, employment, income, health, housing, justice, and transportation, and finding opportunities to fix problems that affect people's everyday lives by working with staff to develop meaningful work plans built on actionable outcomes. That is a lot of corporate speak right there.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of like a rehab talk or something like that. Okay, so that's district. And we should mention
Yes.
District 1. That's what Brooklyn Park, Crystal, New Hope, Robbinsdale, Brooklyn Center, maybe too.
Yeah.
If Lundy's in it, it's got to be Brooklyn Park.
Yeah.
And
Part of
OPAT
Crystal.
was Robbinsdale. I think it's all of Crystal now.
Is it?
Crystal, New Hope, Osseo, maybe too. I don't know how far north it goes. So again, if you're in that area,
Yes.
you're in that area. District 5 does not have a primary. The candidates are Debbie Gattel, who is on. I know she's on the board.
Yeah.
Pretty certain. And being opposed by, oh boy,
Bonnie Njinga.
Bonnie Njinga.
Yeah.
Okay. She spelled Bonnie wrong.
Well, that may be how they do that. That's an African last name.
Oh,
so,
is it? Okay.
yeah. Hard to say.
So I just.
Oh, it's a he.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's spelled differently.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Now, I know 5 is down in the Bloomington, Richfield area down there. I don't know quite of the borders, but somewhere down there.
Yes.
I don't think there's any Minneapolis in it.
I'm looking at Bonnie here.
Riveting radio, Jay.
Yes.
Riveting radio.
I know. He does not have a very good website. The Bonnie Njinga platforms, creating community wealth. That is a lot of what these socialists are. It's not about individual wealth. It is about the wealth being for the good of the community. And they will say, and we'll see this later on, that these people who are far left and the socialists talk about being in favor of building entrepreneurs and local businesses. But here's the catch. I mean, because that doesn't seem right when you're talking about socialists, but what it is for building community wealth. They link everybody together, and again, from one according to his ability to those according to their need, right? And so that is what they're looking at is building communal wealth.
So it's not about rights of the individual or anything like that. It's about can we call it collectivization? Can we call it that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Absolutely. Yeah. He does not have a very good website here, but he's running on something regarding children protective services, closing the achievement gap, which we know is a left position.
Point.
Yeah, safe and affordable housing.
Funny if everybody who talked about closing the achievement gap actually did it, the achievement gap would not only be closed, but minorities would be doing 10 times as well as whites.
Right.
Because nobody cares about the white kids.
Right.
The white kids are just assumed to be racist, assumed to be ahead, assumed to be privileged. And we all know that's garbage.
Yes.
All right, moving on.
Yes.
Here's an interesting one. 6 people. I mean, how many county commissioners are just county commissioners forever? And yet you got 6 people in this race.
Yeah.
The first one's a friend of ours. Brad Aho.
Yes.
From the Eden Prairie City Council?
Yes.
Then we got your buddy,
What?
Dario Anselmo, one of your friends,
yes,
who tried to DFL his way to a Republican victory and lost. Then you've got 4 other people.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Carmela Doby.
That's what I said. Chris Latondresi.
That's pretty good, Latondress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we got Sherry Sudit.
Yep. I like this. I like making you read names.
Kimberly Wilburn.
Yes.
So there's 6 people running in this district. Now, Wilburn looks far left.
Yeah. Latondress. His website is latondress.org. Can you have a .org when you're a candidate?
I don't know. I thought that was only a non-profit or government. No, they're GOV. Sherry Sudit defines herself as a moderate. She is a lawyer working in the county attorney's office. I put lawyers.
Yeah. And 6, by the way, that's Minnetonka, Edina, Hopkins, Northern Eden Prairie, Wayzata, Excelsior, Orono, Shorewood, Deep Haven, Greenwood, Long Lake, Minnetonka Beach, Northern Mound, Spring Park, Tonka Bay, and Woodland.
Holy cow.
A lot of small communities.
Yeah, but I mean, how can a candidate get all the... that's just, that's crazy.
Yeah, Chris Latondress, Hopkins school board member.
Oh, yeah.
Obama administration alum and longtime Hopkins resident. Better government starts with us. So that probably tells you all you need to know about that guy anyways. We don't need to
go too far into that. He led the district through the COVID-19 crisis, apparently.
Oh, well, since nobody was at school, then I mean,
easy to lead when you're the only one there.
No kidding. You tell the janitors when they have coffee break.
Okay, everybody, come on.
Anyhow,
Yes.
Brad Aho, we don't even have to talk about. We know he's a friend of ours, been on the show before.
Yeah.
And your buddy Dario Anselmo, I tell you what, nobody is better at getting. No Republican pushed Tobacco 21 more.
Yep.
And he's Mr. Mental Health. There's a few other things. Gun control he pushed.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, thinking he would win over all these liberals, and they voted him out. So, just again another.
Yeah.
Former state legislator, though, we should add.
Yes.
And Brad Aho is on the Eden Prairie City Council.
Yes.
So anyhow, and actually county commissioner, I would argue, and I've always argued, is more important and a bigger job than a state legislator.
Yeah. We have said that.
Especially in
because
Hennepin
there's
County.
so much money that goes through Hennepin County.
Okay, 7 people, actually 4, control a $2.5 billion budget.
Yeah.
There's no House, there's no Senate, there's no governor, there's no conference committees, there's no requirements of a supermajority, like a bonding bill.
Yeah.
It is incredible power that they wield over healthcare, transportation, the courts, law enforcement.
Yeah.
You could argue the legislature, they got more control than the legislature does.
Right.
Because of all the local offices.
Yeah. The Sherry Sudet, she professes to be a moderate. I mean, I don't know how she's different than Dario Anselmo then.
They're going after the same 10 voters.
Probably. Wants to fund police and safety, feels that's important, but also wants to tackle climate change. So...
Well, hasn't every Hennepin County building been like retrofitted with hydropower or solar panels or chicken poop all the cars run on?
She also wants light rail. So
and it would be and she can't. Can they take away police? I mean, the sheriff's office is independent.
Yeah.
The sheriff is an elected official. I mean, I don't know that funding. I mean, they handle the money part, but the sheriff doesn't answer to the board, does he?
Although, and I don't think it was Hennepin County. That brings up a good point. There were some places that were looking at making the sheriff
appointed.
It was in Minnesota, wasn't it? Was it same?
I'm not sure we touched on it. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's not good news. You don't want an appointed sheriff.
But wouldn't that take a change in like state law? I mean, could a county just say, no, we're not going to elect a sheriff anymore?
I don't think so, because the sheriff is a county position. He's not subject. The sheriff's office is subject to funding from the county board, but the sheriff is not responsible to the county board.
But the county board has state mandates on law enforcement.
Yeah.
I mean, just like a charter in a city has police as one of their, or I don't know if they call it law enforcement or whatever. Public safety, I think, is probably the word they use, because usually at the city level they'll lump in fire with that. But I mean, I'm not sure if a county can just act and say, well, no, we're just not going to. I mean, here's the thing: the county, Hennepin County, doesn't elect an auditor. They don't elect a clerk. They don't elect. A lot of counties elect those positions. So the county's got to have leeway of some. Remember, soil and water, that is not elected in Hennepin County anymore either.
Yeah,
but it is in most counties, in all the out-of-state counties, pretty much for sure. So they must have some ability to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can put their friends on the sheriff that's not get Karen appointed, and they're not going to do anything law enforcement wise. I don't know. Talk about filling up the courts. I mean, if you're not going to arrest anybody, we don't need a county attorney either. They can go take their $200,000 salary and go do something else.
Yeah, you're right about Kimberly Wilburn. She's a mother, wife, veterinarian, scientist, and a community organizer, an activist, and a community member.
And remember, she can be found at Kimberly Cares.
Yes,
remember, she cares.
She does. In fact, she feels that we're ignoring the voices of poor people, black, brown, and indigenous people, LGBTQ people, and disabled people. That's not an option.
If anything, they're the only voices I hear right now.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. The fact that our podcast is still on the air and hasn't been canceled is sometimes.
That's because of our white privilege. That's why.
I don't buy that.
Anybody can set up a podcast.
Yep.
So Hennepin County, God help us.
Yes.
I mean, you got District 7, too, Jeff Johnson, who is not running. He's got his buddy running, though.
Yes.
I can pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Danny Nadeau. First of all,
yes.
When you reach a certain age, Danny, really?
I don't know. Do what you want.
Well,
I mean...
Now he is being opposed by Kim Zellers. I want to say
interesting.
I want to say that's Kurt's wife.
Okay.
I hope I'm right on that.
Yeah. Then Kevin Anderson. Is everybody that runs out in that part of town named Anderson? We've had Sarah Anderson. We've had.
Is Paul Anderson the senator?
Yeah. Everybody's an Anderson.
Okay, Kim Zeller's website isn't letting me go to it.
KimZellers.com.
I did get to Kevin Anderson. Right? I did get to Kevin Anderson, who's pretty left.
Okay.
He's got to be the person. I mean, I'm sure they were targeting Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing it right. How do I know if I'm doing it right?
Yeah, it stalled out for me too.
Okay.
So.
I apologize, by the way, if that isn't Kurt's wife. Yeah. The only Zellers I know.
You might be tuning in right now going, no, honey, I don't know anything about it.
It's getting served papers by the end of the show. I don't know. I know. It's funny. Yeah. What's funny too is Kurt I met a few times.
Yeah.
And I met his wife once at a Republican when he ran for governor.
Okay.
It's him. It must have been 14 because it was him, Dave Thompson, Johnson, and I can't remember who the fourth candidate was. God, I don't know. Isn't it terrible? I can't remember. I'm getting old.
That's tough.
I have no idea who it was. Marty Seifert, it might have been. It might have been Marty. But,
yeah. It probably was.
Probably was.
Yeah.
So, anyhow. So yeah, my pardon me if if we just caused a little trouble in
paradise.
Kurt's marriage. I hope not.
Just stabbing in the dark. Sorry.
When you're the number one rated podcast, okay, and your audience outpaces the national birth rate, that kind of happens. Now, moving on,
yes.
Jay. I know that the time is as always gets to us here. Our hometown.
Yes.
Our home base.
Yes.
Once again, the girls might love them, but we can't let them win. Buttery bread. We've got Fabio in the race again in Ward 4. Now, I know you got a Fabio sign in your yard.
No, I do not. But I'm not going to dox him. I'm not going to put his address out there or pictures of his house. But as we talked about before, with the party coming behind Ilhan Omar, who has broken more laws than Al Capone. Exactly who I was thinking of.
Don't take credit for everything.
He's got an Elon Omar sign in his yard, so he obviously isn't concerned with all of her legal trouble.
Well, that just makes me just want to vote for him even more, don't it? I just love. I go, and I don't know if this is a problem with my phone, but I go to his website and his head's cut off.
Well, maybe he doesn't have a head.
No, remember last time he had the Fabio. He had the Fabio haircut.
That's true. Oh, well.
Is it the same for you?
Yeah, probably. We both use Apple products. It'll probably come out the same.
Okay. Well, he's on the Environmental Quality Commission.
Whoever set up his website, I don't know. We'd have to check it on a desktop, but somebody obviously didn't test it on mobile to see if it was mobile friendly.
Yeah, it's not mobile. I can't get the issues stuff to come down either. So he works in Osseo schools.
Yep. And he's very proudly DFL and labor endorsed. That's right on his signs. So you know what you're getting with.
Labor by who?
Well, Osseo schools.
They don't live in Crystal.
Union. I know. But remember last time they had written him, they had endorsed him last time, the teachers union up there.
Oh.
So,
yippee.
yeah. We've been calling him Fabio. Have you said his real name yet so people know?
No, what's his real name? I don't even know.
What? Really?
Cummings.
David
right?
Cummings.
Yeah, okay.
David Cummings, yes. So if you're looking for, and this is the thing with him too, that he's in there's a group in Crystal that has kind of surfaced to try and rival us. I mean, they don't have a podcast. They don't have a blog. They don't.
Copying's the greatest form of flattery.
They have a secret.
I didn't even know this.
They have a secret group on Facebook.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
what do they want to do? Defund the police or something?
Renee's kind of at the head of that. Yeah. So,
tell you what,
who's aligning themselves with our favorite mayor?
I tell you what, you want to get
favorite former ex-mayor.
Take it from successful people like you and me. If you want to do something like that, being secret is the absolute worst thing you can possibly do. You have to do what we did, and I'll just say this because they're not smart enough to listen to us. You've got to be on social media, not in a closed group. No. You got to have a blog. You got to have TV or YouTube or podcasts. You got to get the message out. You can't just sit there and talk to each other.
Yeah, but. Mayoral candidate Steve Adams is in that group with Renee. So he's getting all of her wisdom on how to run a city into the ground.
Well,
that's fantastic.
That just guarantees 4 more years of Jim Adams.
For all the churches out there and anyone who's faith-based or friendly to religion, he's an atheist and he is very anti-religion. So... take that for what it's worth. And I don't know Jim Martin, who's running against Nancy LaRoche in Section 1, although he used to play guitar for the band Faith No More, and he did a pretty good job. But Nancy's
I thought he was a backup quarterback for the Bears.
Well, maybe. Nancy's going to mop up the floor with him. Yeah, we got Johnny B in Ward 3. Johnny B, our favorite councilman that we
got a history there, don't we?
We got a history with Johnny.
He said your name at a debate. That's all I was
lied
there.
about me in a debate. He used my name and he lied about me.
Yep, Jason Bradley told me. It's the greatest line. It beats "You're no Jack Kennedy." It's the greatest line in a debate ever. I know Jason Bradley told me. Half the audience like, who the hell is Jason Bradley?
Half.
Yeah. Well, Renee was there. Jim was there. Hoffman was there. They'll give me dirty looks. So that was good.
So, Johnny B., who was marching against the police of his own city. He was out in the streets.
Voted to fund them.
With Citizens Against Police Brutality. Was on the march that started out in Crystal, ended up in New Hope. They got confused and left. That was good. marched right
Directionally
on
challenged.
42nd until
Directionally
they
challenged.
realized we're not in the same city anymore.
Yeah. I think they all stopped and went bowling over at New
We're
Home.
not in Crystal anymore, Toto. Council member Ward 4, that's David Cummings, James Eindefeld Brown, and Eric Wilhelm.
Yo, Fabio, butter that bread.
Yes, I don't know much about Eric. He does not have a website listed here. You said you found some information on him.
Well,
James Eindefeld Brown, I know caucuses with the Conservatives. Nice enough guy. I know he's on their planning commission.
But you didn't mention the guy running against Johnny B, Tony.
Oh, Tony. Sorry. Yeah, Tony Sumnicht.
Good. I'm glad because I can't pronounce his name either.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
good guy. We've sat down with him, and he's got a really good head on his shoulders.
Great website too. Really good.
Really good.
Snappy website.
Yeah. And just real good with numbers. Real good stat guy. I mean, he's the kind of guy that if he gets on the city council there, he's going to be an asset to Jim as far as bringing that debt level down and what he's trying to do in that city. So that's good.
Okay. Now, Jay,
yes.
we have to play our game here.
Oh, is it time for that
Yeah,
already?
it's got to be time for the game because we're going way over here.
Well, let us say this though. I mean, this game is going to be related. It's not related so much to the primary because Minneapolis is insane, and so they adopted something a few years back called more than a few, ranked choice voting. Now they lauded this is gonna even the playing field. All these people that normally don't get a voice. I mean, you vote for up to 3 people, and who knows? The person who gets the most second votes might beat the person who gets the most first votes because of the way things work out. And it is a complete mess, and it really leaves so much room for fraud. And there have been studies.
Spoiled ballots, I think, are the big problem.
Yeah, there have been so many studies that
as a
show
former
that
election judge,
help.
I can tell you there's some people who have so hard time deciding between 2 people.
Yeah.
To rank 3 is like asking them Einstein's theory of relativity.
If there's any question at all about what ranked choice voting is and whether it's good or not, look at the people who fund it. Look at the people who funded the movements to get ranked choice voting.
Fairvote.org?
Fairvote.org. And who funds fairvote.org? That's what you have to follow the money. That's the thing. So they can make anything sound great, but you have to know who's backing it because then you know what you're getting. And when you have globalists that are trying to overthrow our electoral system and they're throwing millions of dollars at something to make your position irrelevant, that's a problem. And with ranked choice voting, that's what that's about, is about destroying the American electoral system.
Well, and I would add to that, your Secretary of State is very important too, because the globalists have attacked that.
Yes.
The George Soros groups and all that have been funding secretaries of state all over the nation. Look what they did in California. They made it so that the top 2 vote getters, regardless of party, are on the ballot.
Yeah.
And it's resulted several times in having 2 Democrats against each other.
Yeah.
And that depresses, the whole point is to depress the Republican vote statewide because they don't have that top of the ticket candidate going. It happened in 2016 when it's the only way Kamala, the Ugandan giant, got in. It was her, and I think it was Loretta Sanchez, who was used to be a congressperson from like the Orange County, Anaheim area somewhere. Yeah. And they were the 2 people who squared off against each other in November.
Yes.
Because they got their Secretary of State jammed through a bunch of election changes. So you're seeing it with Steve Simon here. Who's out there pushing in mail-in ballots? Not absentee ballots, not you're gone for a legitimate reason, business, or you're an old person living in a nursing home. There are legitimate reasons. You're a college kid and you want to get an absentee ballot because you won't be there election day, or you're going to be out of town for work or whatever. But everybody mailing in a ballot is very, very different than that.
Absolutely.
So, anyhow, Minneapolis, Jay, what's our game here?
All right, so this one's called Who's the Most Radical?
Do I spin the wheel here? Do I spin the wheel?
So here's the deal. So Minneapolis has been on fire, and it has been in disarray, in a tailspin.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
They have odd-year elections, so what is this?
So there's going to be a special election. Abdi Warsame vacated his seat last month. He was in charge of Ward 6 in Minneapolis, so that he could.
Bron Wang lived there. Bron Wang in that district.
I don't know. So he did this so he could go lead the Minneapolis Public Housing Authority, and so there's a special election this year.
So they appoint a
ward.
council person to do that.
Yeah.
Must have been a big raise.
Yes, must have been. So this is, if you know anything about Minneapolis, it's Cedar Riverside, Seward, Ventura Village, and Stevens Square neighborhoods. So there are quite a few. Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 candidates running for this seat, because this is what ranked choice voting does, is it puts up all of these people. Phone froze. That's great. They put up all of these people, and let's start out with this question: how many Republicans are in this field of 12?
Okay, is my over/under 1? I'm going to take the under and make it 0.
It
so
is
there's supposed
0.
to be nonpartisan races?
Not in Minneapolis. They declare a party all the time. So,
Okay.
Yes, the answer is 0. 0 Republicans. You know, they talk about inclusion, and they talk about equity, and they talk about, we have to have a diversity of candidates. There's at least 20% of the people in Minneapolis are Republicans.
Well, not only that, but
There are 0 candidates.
it's kind of like having 10 giraffes in a room.
Yeah.
And they're all arguing who's got like a longer neck. That's
Yeah.
like what this is here.
Well, and this is the thing. I mean, you're not going to tell me what I'm trying to remember how many people are on that council. It's too many.
13 or so?
I think. It's 13. And 2 of them are transgendered. You're going to tell me that that in Minneapolis, like, what, 18% of Minneapolis is transgendered? Like that, like that's supposed to be equal?
I'm not going to go there with
Yeah.
that. I'll get in trouble.
But this is where equity gets us, Andrew. I mean, equity is
code words, in my opinion, for getting rid of white people, number one.
yes, white guilt, white fragility,
white men in particular, and getting a bunch of other people who all think the same thing. And that's what I hear when I hear equity.
Yeah. Okay. So
not about giving opportunity to anybody who could use it.
Well, there's lots of diversity in this field.
Black Lives Matter takes in $1 billion. What black person do you know is seeing a cent of it?
Yeah, they have over $1 billion. It's true.
Don't even.
That's true. Okay, so let's look at the diversity of the field. There are 0 Republicans. How many?
Notice I could just pick up my phone and cheat, and I'm not.
Right. No, that's fine. So there is 1 independent candidate.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How many names do you think I could pronounce on this list? Anybody named like Bill Smith or, Woody Stem?
Maybe. I think there's a few you can pronounce.
Okay. All right, go ahead with your question.
Okay, so there's 1 Green Party candidate. There's 1 independent who we'll talk about, and you'll find out just how independent they are. And then you have the Humanity Forward Party. So there's 3, and
Isn't that a
then
board game?
the other 9 are all DFL.
Huh, okay.
So that's your equity for you right there. Now let's take a look at these candidates. We'll just run through them quick and see who's the most radical, and then decide who we think is going to end up winning that race. So
now, is this a race in November? This is not a.
This is a race in November. Yes. We'll start with Abdi Warsame. What's funny about that? I don't know.
I'm just trying to think of how I would have pronounced that.
Oh, I should have given you the name.
Yeah,
That should have been the game right there. Here's a list of names of people running in Minneapolis. Pronounce it. That
So what's going on with Beehive?
Okay. Let's see how radical be he. I don't. Now you're getting to me. Be he has worked in, maybe it's by high, I don't know, has worked in social services and as a social justice advocate in the community for more than 2 decades. His work has ranged from an interpreter and community liaison with Hennepin County to administering job training programs for community members and helping them secure employment. Behe said that his main concern, if elected, would revolve around inequity in his community, whether it's housing. Really? We're 12. Whether it's housing, jobs, or
Are we going to read all these people?
Some are shorter than others.
Okay.
Whether it's
How am I
access,
supposed to remember this?
or just whether it's access to resources for the community to get skills and viable wages, those are the inequities that I'm really concerned about, he said. So, how radical does he sound?
Well, he doesn't sound as bad as some of the other ones we've read.
Yeah.
Anybody who works in social services and uses the term social justice,
Yeah.
I got to put them pretty far out on that. But I mean,
So if we're
again,
ranking them 1 to 5, with 5 being the most radical.
he's probably a 3 or 4.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right. Michael P. Doherty. All I could find
He
is...
has in a middle initial?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like IP Freely, yes.
I would have said Michael P. Diddy.
So, I clicked on the link to his website, and it went to the Thompson Doherty Funeral Home website. I guess that explains his
His candidacy.
candidacy.
He's already been cremated.
There's a viewing Sunday at 5. That one you could have pronounced.
You know what you should have done? You
Yeah.
should have clicked on it and saw like a picture of Ruth Ginsburg or something.
Oh.
Well, that was quick.
Yes. Sarah Marie Enberg found nothing.
Nothing.
There's
okay.
nothing on Sarah Marie Enberg that I could find.
I can't rate these people.
And there was a an article that listed some of these, and for some of the people, they said they couldn't be reached or they declined. Some of these people aren't even listed in the article, which I found interesting, and maybe they came on board afterwards. But Mohammed Hassan, a former challenger to incumbent Senator Jeff Hayden, DFL Minneapolis, from Minnesota Senate 62 in 2016, and that's all I could find on him. So we can't really rate him either, but being DFL.
Well, he's probably to the left of Hayden.
Yes.
I found Hayden reasonable on some issues.
Yeah.
But I assume he's he's pretty DFL, but especially on, Jeff Hayden has cast a lot of principled votes on, I know that's not what we're talking about, but on, ripping on conference committees and secret negotiations. And so I've got a grudging respect for him.
Okay.
So, but one other person we can't rate, though,
Yeah.
and he's not running. So,
Right. All right.
I'm sorry, I wonder if he's running for Senate. He must be. I don't know.
I don't know. Nabiha Mohammed.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
That's 2 Mohammeds. No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and there's also 2 Hassans as well. So, well, it is Cedar Riverside, which is probably 90% Somali. So, a number of these candidates are are refugees that came either from Somalia or refugee camps in Kenya.
So we're in Omar's neighborhood.
Yes.
Okay.
Nabiha Mohammed. Nabiha is a progressive Democrat and a small business owner. Former Army advocate for veterans' rights. Vote early, vote absentee.
Forgot vote often.
Yeah. Committed to fighting for social and economic justice. Not abolishing police, but reimagining public safety.
Same thing in my book.
Reading through her website, as I had to do as I compiled this, I think she might be kind of conservative, but has never met a conservative.
Well, I'm going to say, are we saying on a radical, one being...
Yeah, well, I mean,
one being a mainstream Democrat, 5 being a total whack job, 5 being... Mao.
Yes.
I'd say she's about a 2.
Okay.
From what I've read there.
I would say that too.
The other thing I don't like is when I hear reimagining police.
Yeah.
Again, those are buzzwords. Those are words that come from a think tank or a focus group. Mm-hmm. And I get nervous when I hear that because the public safety, their job is pretty defined.
Yes.
Now, if you want to make some rule changes or, procedural changes or things like that's legitimate. Because there's police tactics I don't like, and you and I have talked about it before. So I'm all right talking about those, but when I hear reimagining, I feel like we're going to have the food police and the thought police, but we're not going to have the real police.
Right.
So it's kind of, I feel like she could get carried along if she's not more principled than that. And I wish she'd expand on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But.
Seward Olat. Suudolat.
That's where I got a car from. They were called Seward a lot. Oh.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's just terrible. I'm horrible.
Okay, community organizer and activist.
Okay, our community organizers, there's more community.
Only people that run.
There are more community organizers than there are like teachers, doctors.
Almost all of these people come out of nonprofits and community organizing. And
President Obama started. Everybody now is a community organizer. We are community organizers. I would never call myself that.
I wouldn't call myself that either. But congressional district leader to one campaign. That's the thing Bono started from U2 for Africa. Recipient of Minnesota Department of Health and Human Service Award for young leaders making changes in our communities. Changing names from the Minneapolis Police Department to the Department of Public Safety and Crime Prevention won't solve the real issue. He's saying that if you do that, it doesn't solve the real issue. So like the whole drive to change the charter, just so that you're taking out the police provisions and you're renaming it, that doesn't do anything. He says he fully supports Chief Madeira Arredondo to be the right person for the job. Permanent supportive housing is a proven solution to ending homelessness. We need to push for Congress, county government, and the Metropolitan Council to invest in permanent housing to drive permanent solutions. Housing is a human right. Olat said his top priority would be to bring more jobs and economic opportunity to the ward. He said increasing access to education would help community members gain meaningful employment. And lastly, additional goals for Olat, if elected, include advocating for seniors and empowering small businesses.
Well, it's weird. It's weird how somebody talks about jobs, businesses, and then in the very same breath talks about housing is a right. But I mean, what drives the marketplace business-wise drives the housing market. It's a business as well. I'm probably going to say another 3-ish there. I mean, I've heard worse, but a little micro and macroeconomics classes might help.
Jamal Osman, longtime advocate for change in social justice, refugee and from his time spent in public housing, meaning living in public housing. Jamal is focused on housing and mental health, working with common bond communities in the social services department, is in favor of voting early. The police should
Voting
reflect
often.
and be responsive to the cultural, racial, and gender diversity of the communities they are supposed to serve. Police departments nationwide that have more black officers are proven significantly less likely to kill black people. That is false.
Black on black crime is absolutely nuts in this
I
country.
don't know.
I don't know about black officers, but if
Yeah.
I can take a step back, and this is about the previous person too. One thing I forgot to mention was how many issues that person talked about that were not city related, which is also kind of a warning flag to me. But when I hear, things like that, I always come back to cart before the horse.
Yeah.
Half the black kids in Minneapolis are not graduating high school. They're not going to become police officers, teachers, lawyers, dentists, business people without that education. You have to fix that first. Black officers is a long-term goal, not a short-term goal. And when you confront people who say this with that, they have no answer.
Yeah.
So, should they reflect the community? Yeah, probably, but you got to earn it.
Yeah.
You got to go through the cadet training. It's not that, you're not hiring somebody to, and I don't mean to disparage people who work a counter at a gas station, but this is an important, you're giving people a gun. You're giving people a taser. You're giving people mace.
Yes.
You don't hand that out to somebody because of their skin color.
No, but this guy wants officers to reside in Minneapolis. The Stanek law should be overturned by our legislature, and Minneapolis should reinstitute a residency requirement. As I said last week? Bad idea.
Yeah,
very bad criminals hunt down people's families when they're in law enforcement.
And it's also, again, you're shrinking the pool of people, too, that you can have as officers.
Yep. Practices like stop and frisk and arrests for disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct, marijuana possession, and consuming alcohol on streets are all racist practices that are taught to police officers as high priority enforcement.
I'm going to surprise you. Stop and frisk, I agree completely with you.
I'm not a fan of that. But I will say disorderly conduct and disturbing the peace, I'm sorry, those police should stop.
Well, yeah, and I think the idea that getting drunk and smoking pot, do you want to become San Francisco? I mean, is that our goal here? I mean, that half the people we talk about housing being a right, yet if drunks and pot smokers are wandering around, and I mean, you're lowering your city. Not
well. This guy's on the bandwagon for that too. Housing is a basic human right. Pledge to work to secure funding to expand public housing.
Then no winos should be on the street then if housing is a right.
Yeah.
They all can go to his house.
Eviction,
how about they all live there?
Tenants' rights, Anyways, where do you place this guy?
Pretty poor.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Okay. So Alex Palacios. He is the one Hispanic running. And he's the Green Party candidate.
You won the Espanol no mas.
He has worked in providing HIV testing and education at the Aliveness Project since 2018 after a year of service on Aliveness's board of directors. Until recently served as membership director for Stonewall DFL, the LGBTQ plus community caucus of the Minnesota DFL party. Born in Honduras and raised in the Bronx. Intersectionality is all over his website. And for those who don't know, let me go through it super quick. This is part of intersectionality. This is a cultural Marxism term where basically as a white Christian straight cisgendered male,
you got every check mark.
I have every check mark. But say you're black, you all of a sudden don't have you encounter bias based on that. If you are gay and black, those are where those two forms of discrimination intersect, and you are more discriminated against than a straight black man. Okay, if you are a black lesbian woman, you have 3 intersections, and so your intersectionality is higher than that. So it's a way to rank how
it ranks how victimhood.
Yes,
basically. Yeah.
absolutely. So exploring and implementing alternatives to policing model of public safety, free safe Wi-Fi, investing heavily in transforming neighborhood associations into cultural and wellness hubs by supporting the Neighborhoods 2020 initiative. I don't know what that. Actually, I'm sorry. This is not the Green Party candidate. This is DFL. The next guy is Green Party. Continuing to prioritize housing access for those who are housing insecure and other affordable housing ventures. Eliminating food deserts.
Everybody's housing challenged.
Yeah. Promoting food deserts and eliminating food deserts and promoting sustainability within the ward and city. Strong focus on equity and commitment to infusing everything the city council does with anti-racist approaches, which is the only way we can restore peace, deliver justice, and prevent further tragedies. Let me also say, in cultural Marxist speak, anti-racist is not being not racist. It is fighting against It is fighting against racism and people who don't fight against racism as well, whether they're racist or not. So,
okay, say no more.
Yes, defunding the MPD is part of it.
This guy's a 5.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
we'll see when we're all done.
Well, I can keep giving 5s. He can be a 5
to go
plus.
Once you're a 5. Well, he is.
Can be a 5.
Yeah,
5.1. I mean, I heard every word I hate, from sustainability to funding police to Marxist rhetoric to housing is a right. I mean, I didn't hear anything in there that, I mean, him and Mao would be walking arm in arm.
Yep. Joshua Schweneman worked on political campaigns, including with Working America and Minneapolis Park and Rec Board. Commissioner Chris Meyer's campaign. I guess he was helping on that campaign for the Park and Rec Board. My big drive is making sure that every Minneapolis voice is heard and that we can have that third-party voice for the betterment of the people. Introduce a $5 per carbon ton climate mitigation fee on all fossil fuel energy and natural gas used in Minneapolis, and use the money that is raised to fund renewable energy projects.
This has got to be
the Green Deal guy, or Green Party guy. Also, supports the Green New Deal, increased spending on affordable housing programs, especially for communities who need it most.
How is there any homelessness in Minneapolis?
Everybody wants to fund it, but nobody does it. Any businesses that receive funding from the city must allow their workers to unionize. Any business that receives funding from the city must allow their workers to unionize. That is scary.
Funding in what source?
Any city funding.
So that's TIF, that's an abatement, that's...
I suppose it is.
Because you can get sketchy there.
Right.
When you say any.
That is what it said on his website. I copied and pasted off. Any business that receives funding. Maintain Minneapolis' status as a sanctuary city. Defund the police and put further emphasis on cultural awareness and de-escalation techniques in police training.
Well, we got a partner here. I'm going to go 5 again.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to channel you for a moment. Sacido Sky here. SACIIDO SCAIE. Sacido Sky. Can I buy a vowel? I don't know. All I have, former candidate in the Minnesota House District 68 special election earlier this year. There wasn't anything for that. 2 more. And then I know.
It's okay.
But it's okay. That's the nice thing about having a podcast where we run the show. And this is entertaining, I think.
This is our sign-off sermon, I think.
Really. I'll have a very short
Okay, because we're going on 6 hours here.
Oofta.
You got batteries in this thing?
It's not blinking at me yet.
Okay.
All right. A.K. Hassan. I thought they were against AKs in the Democrat Party.
Well, the middle name's not 47.
Well, it might be. A.K. Hassan. Alaska Hassan. Isn't that Alaska's A.K., right? Well, maybe that's it. All right, he worked to expand youth funding by over $1 million. He helped to secure new parkland along the Mississippi River for the public trust, and consistently has been a vocal advocate to expand equity and access across the city's diverse and low-income neighborhoods through investment in parklands and programming. What is he in favor of? Racial justice, equity, and inclusion. What zip code you live in should not determine your access to housing, education, and good health. In Minnesota, communities of color experience some of the worst gaps in wealth, health, and education. Says all these people that seem to have come out of war-torn Somalia and done really well for themselves under a capitalist system, might I say.
Sounds like Omar.
Yeah. Rent control and affordable housing. As we navigate a real housing crisis in the midst of a global pandemic where residents may be a paycheck away from losing their home, it is further illuminated that access to affordable housing is a basic human right. Community wealth when it comes to entrepreneurship. The opioid crisis, a lot of people listed this. Addiction is blind to culture, religious background, or economic bracket. However, some communities are hardest hit. We need to invest in smart and robust city responses to save lives and connect residents with culturally appropriate resources. AK knows that only through a broad and diverse let me go back to that last point. Culturally appropriate resources. So you tell me if you have a Hispanic and a white guy that both overdose on something, you need to have something culturally appropriate to one to revive him versus the other. Is that what you're talking about? I don't know. AK knows that the only through a broad and diverse grassroots coalition of workers, renters, youth, and BIPOC, that is, I always forget what the BI part is, by people of color. Black, indigenous people of color, I think. Anyways, voices, can we lay the groundwork to rectify the larger systemic injustices that keep so many Sixth Ward residents in a state of survival? Now is the opportunity to bring more progressive agenda to the Minneapolis City Council. Really? Have you heard anything they've done lately? Now is an opportunity to bring a more progressive agenda to the Minneapolis City Council than getting rid of the police.
Not progressive enough. But like I said, I mean, housing should be a right already.
Yes.
There shouldn't be any homeless people there.
Through building a grassroots coalition of workers, renters, youth, Black, indigenous, people of color, and LGBTQIA+ voices. That's a mouthful. We can dismantle the racial, social, and economic injustice that persists in our community at the city council level. Endorsed by our Revolution Outfront Minnesota, our Revolution as a group, Outfront Minnesota, and Conley for Hennepin County in Ward 4. Addressing climate change at a municipal level, and through passing rent control and creating truly affordable housing. And lastly, after coming to the U.S. from Somalia in 2008, Hassan is a community organizer and a former president of the Ventura Village Neighborhood Association.
Well, I'm going to give another 5 there.
Yeah?
I mean, it pretty much checks every box.
Yeah.
I was leaning towards a 4, but,
How are you leaning towards a 4?
Because I think the other people were actually worse, but this guy caught up to them pretty quick. All right, who else is the person?
Last one. And I think
last and certainly least.
I think these last two are probably are the two to watch in this race. By the way, AJ Awad. AJ Awad was born in Somalia. the youngest of 12, and immigrated to the United States when he was 5 years old. He was raised in public housing as a young teenager. He had problems assimilating into society, which resulted in run-ins with law enforcement and eventually to him dropping out of high school. After the crash of the global economy in 2008, he lost his job and decided to dramatically change his life. He mediates in Hennepin County Housing Court and Harassment Court, where he works against predatory landlords to prevent tenants from having their tenants' rights broken or being unduly evicted.
So if they don't pay the rent, he's
Yeah.
going to make sure they can stay anyway.
Right. So his history on this is very important when you hear the rest of what he stands for. A.J. Awad is building a grassroots coalition to fight for the policies we deserve, protecting and expanding public housing, pushing for rent control, addressing the opioid crisis through restorative justice, and opposing the gentrification of our neighborhoods. A.J. Awad on MSNBC. So he actually got some national coverage. Abolish the MPD. He's the only one to come out and say that. AJ will abolish the MPD and work with the community to start over as a city with a new model of public safety and well-being. Start over, he's using that word again, as a city with a new model of public safety. Oh, okay, must have hit that twice. A.J. Awad is running as a democratic socialist on a platform that centers on the lives of workers, renters, immigrants, LGBTQ plus people, and our black and indigenous communities.
So he's not going to represent white people.
No, apparently not. Demand housing for all, fight for environmental justice, reshape our local economy, eliminate inequality, reshape our local economy. I don't like that. Policy goals include supporting a Green New Deal, protecting public housing from privatization, and preventing gentrification.
I don't know what gentrification is.
Gentrification is where, say you have a rundown, blighted area, and you bring something in to spruce that area up. Well, they contend that the property prices go up, making the poor people not able to afford to live in that area anymore, and then they have to go find new poor places to live.
There's something to that.
Yeah, there's something to
I
that.
agree.
Although you don't want to have dumpy neighborhoods either, so I don't know what the
Sounds like
solution
you
to that
can't
is.
win.
Right.
Again, the subsidized stuff I've got problems with, because how do you pick and choose who gets free stuff and who don't?
Right.
So, all right. I don't even have to listen to anymore.
That's all there was.
This guy's a 13.
Yes. Be careful where you put your fives, Andrew.
Well, I still agree with all the fives, but
This guy is.
I gave one person a 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So based on that,
So that person will come in last. Let's just put it
right.
that way.
This guy is most likely to win, I think.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. What do you think?
well, it's
based
hard
on
to
that?
it's hard to say, because you've got so many people saying the same thing.
Right.
You've got so many people who think housing is a right, who are community organizers, who are fighting for some ethnicity. That it's hard to distinguish between. I think it's going to come down the way it always does: feelings, who checks all the boxes.
Who's got money behind him?
Yeah, who the big people are supporting, and
Yeah.
this is the only election. So in Minneapolis, my guess is
Yes.
a lot of money is going to go in that maybe otherwise wouldn't.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, we'll keep an eye on it. I avoid Minneapolis at all costs.
Yes.
So
That's-
I'm not going to be down.
Me too.
I'm not going to be down in Cedar Riverside looking at yard signs. So there you have it, folks.
Yeah. So you're not
primary-
going to pick a winner.
I'm
huh?
not going to pick a
All
winner. I'm
right.
going to pick
We're
my
all
nose.
losers, like I say.
Yeah.
We are all losers.
All I
from
heard
now
was Hassan Muhammad, somebody or other.
on. Yeah.
That's really Minneapolis.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jay, I'm not going to go through the nicknames.
Yeah.
We'll save that for next week.
Okay.
Sign off sermon quickly.
Make it quick.
Make it quick. I normally enjoy them, but we got to make this one quick.
Yes.
People have remotes at home. What do you have for us?
All right, everybody, you've heard that. We went through and we highlighted a few of the races that have primaries just to give you a taste of how we go out and we look at these things and we do our research, because it is important that you vote in primaries. It's the system we got, so we have to use it. Whether you like it or not isn't the issue. It is the system we have. So you've got to use it. So if you don't vote in a primary, you know how you always hear, well, I'm going to vote for so-and-so because it's the least of two evils. Why should we vote for any evil at all? Why don't you get into the process early and get your candidates the support that they need so that they can get through the primary process? And lo and behold, maybe, you've got somebody you like who's running for state senate, for state rep, for city council, for county board, for school board. School boards normally don't have them, but it depends. If some school boards are broken out into sections, most of them are at large. Anyways, that's it. You just wait till the general and you're stuck with whoever they give you. But you have a chance to get involved now. And to go to a primary, people don't go to primaries. And so if you turn out in numbers, you can get your person elected. It's that simple. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with whoever you're given. And what good is there in that? And at the same time that we've got these primaries going on, we only have till the 11th as well if you want to file for candidacy in your city, in your school board. That's it. After the 11th, there's no more opportunity for this election cycle, and you're stuck with what you've got for another 2 years. There are so many, even in the metro area, in the 9-county area, there are so many races that right now are uncontested. You could walk in, put your name down, people could see, oh, somebody's there. I don't really want to campaign. So, and you walk into a seat. We've done this before where we have convinced people to step in.
I should check out Plymouth.
Yeah. No, Plymouth, everybody's spoken for. There was an open race, but now there are people in both of those races. So, unfortunately. But, you still got time. And by the time this podcast comes out, you're still going to have a little bit of time to go and take care of business. Hey, do you want the police defunded? Do you want Minneapolis to get rid of their police force altogether? What is that going to do for your community? Because let me tell you, even if you don't live in Minneapolis, every criminal in the country is going to buy a one-way ticket to get to Minneapolis because they're not going to get prosecuted. What does that mean? You're going to have a lot of people moving out of Minneapolis into your neighborhood, and you might not like that. You're going to have people that are able to telecommute to work, and they're going to go to your city in outstate Minnesota. You know what? And there's a lot of really nice people that I'm sure will do that. There's also going to be some very citified people that are going to come and want to change your small town and make it more like what they liked about Minneapolis, and you're not going to like it. So get out there and get filed. You just have a few days left, and you cannot let this pass you by. School districts outstate, there is nobody running in most of these yet. You can get your name on a ballot, and we can get rid of things like making sure the 1619 project does not get taught in schools, that locker rooms and bathrooms are not shared, that we're not teaching Common Core anymore. All of these crazy things the schools are doing, all the things that the cities are being pushed to do by the League of Minnesota Cities. You have an opportunity. You have an opportunity. So who's going to stand up and do this? Like I said, today we showed you how we go in and we just kind of did it on the air, and not because we don't care and want to look unprepared. We came in here so you could see our process. We came in so that you could see this is how we do our research when it comes to these candidates, because you have to go do that research. We can't research 853 Minnesota cities. We can't research over 1,000 townships and school districts and 87 counties. We can't do that. That is up to you who lives there. So we showed you how we did it today. We just kind of did it live on air because we want you to know this is what you do. So you don't walk into the polls unprepared. That is worse than not voting, is walking in and not knowing what you're doing, because you're going to elect somebody that's going to hurt your community. So stop it. Those are my two things. Do your research. Pray, be educated, and go vote. Secondly, get your name on the ballot for November. This is the last chance, guys. We could lose this country, and if we aren't shored up at home with the things coming on the economic horizon, if we don't have strong cities, strong counties, strong school districts, we're in trouble. So where are my soldiers? Where are my Minutemen, my volunteers, my warriors that want to go out there and turn this state around? It doesn't take a lot of us, but it takes some of us. So we got to start now. If that's you, get a hold of us. COMMsolutionsMN@gmail.com. COMMsolutionsMN@gmail.com, and we will be sure to help you to the best of our ability and see if we can get you across the finish line. Because that's what it's about. All of us working together to change the way that this state looks. Why do we do it? Because we love you, Minnesota. But now it's your turn to get to work.
If I get too caught up